ignition of the Merlin engines, and liftoff of the Falcon 9 rocket, climbing away from Launch Pad 39A, lighting up the night sky, carrying 49 more Starlink internet satellites into orbit.
Okay guys, the trick to ordering Starlink in an area that's not waiting for service, but is you're on a wait list, is at marker 35. So fast forward to 35 if you don't want to watch the rest of the video, you just want to figure that trick out. Minute 35. While we're all sitting at home enjoying the internet, there is a battle going on in the tech industry. Who's going to win the internet battle? Cellular carriers, satellite carriers, or traditional phone companies?
Do all these words scare you? Routers, modems, wireless, cellular, internet, fiber, copper, 5G, 4G, 3G? Well guys, Starlink makes it very simple. Here is how you set up Starlink.
Hey guys, Jody with Only Have One Life to Live here today. We're going to sort of geek out on you a little bit today, and we're going to talk Starlink. So, for those of you who don't know, my background is about 25 years with a major telecommunications company that you might recognize. I've been doing everything from telecommunications to data to wireless networks for the past 20 plus years, well, as long as it's been around, and cellular since the beginning of cellular. So I've got a little history here in cellular. So today we're going to talk Starlink, and I've previously purchased the RV version of Starlink. I also have a peplink with an external 5G antenna, and I have the Speed Demon bundle from Mobile Must Have, and I have a couple of slots, SIM slots in there. I've purchased the Verizon network SIM. I've also got a T-Mobile SIM, and I've got an AT&T SIM, and we'll compare all of those in this video, as well as I've just purchased the Starlink, and I think I have a trick for you that no one else probably has tried yet in how to place an order and get your Starlink serviced in your area, even though it may be at capacity, and not suffer deprioritization while you're in that environment. So stay tuned, we're going to get started right away. So when you get your Starlink, it is going to come in a box like this. Okay guys, so this is a Starlink for residences that I just ordered a few days back. It's brand new, never been out of the box. So let's open it up and see what you have inside. We've got some plastic covers here. We've got a base. We've got the satellite itself. We've got a cable with power. And we've got the modem itself. And that's it. That's all that's in here. There are literally 2 cables to plug in. Really quite straightforward. One power cable that plugs into the modem in the bottom down here, and then that plugs in right here into this socket, power cable, and then the other end into 110. And then the opposite end of this cable, it's a little bit large, but you can see it's a little plug like that, and it plugs into the bottom into this other port. Just goes right in there. It's got a little weather resistant sort of rubber garment around the edge, as well as does the power. So there's a little weather protection there. And otherwise, that's it. Those 3 or 4 components, and that is your, so we're going to get to installation here, see what happens. Okay, many of you may be aware that I've already installed and ordered a Starlink for RVs, and that was a very simple installation. Again, the satellite, the base, the cable, and the power cable. So what I did previously was install this on top of the roof and secure it to the ladder mount on the back. I'll show you that real quick. So there's my Starlink. It's attached to the ladder. I've just got some tie wraps holding that on. We've been through a couple of pretty heavy storms here in Texas in September and October. Remnants of hurricanes and other things. I've not had any problems up there with those tie wraps. Make sure you get the black tie wraps, because the black tie wraps are UV resistant and they won't break. If you get the white tie wraps, they are not UV resistant, and they'll sort of erode over time on you as it's affected by the sun. So make sure you get the black tie wraps. The reason that the cable companies and TV companies and communications companies use those is because they are UV resistant. All right, so I just mounted it up there. Like I said, secured the base with tie wraps to my ladder rack and run the cable down the edge. You can see it sort of stringed along the side of the ladder. Bundled the cable up there. The rest of it goes underneath the RV. And along up under the tire well, you can see the cable running up under there. And then eventually it goes in right there. And my office is just above this area inside the RV. So we're going to go in the RV now. There's Cammie. And we are going to see where my little office area sits. So here's my little setup at home. I am a heavy video user in the business that I run. And so you can see that I have a video device here. I have a PC. That empty area is where my work PC is. And the cable runs up through the floor, through this side over here, which looks kind of dirty right now. I didn't tidy it up. And then up into an area above here where I have my printer, my Starlink, my PepWave, and all of my networking gear up there. Okay, so I brought the Starlink outside here, and I'm going to set it up really quickly outside rather than go through the entire trouble, because the intention of this is to really determine, do you get faster speeds in an area when you've ordered the standard sort of modem. So there goes the base. The base is out. It's got a keyed side and a non-keyed side. I'll bring this to you to see if you can see the keyed side. So in here you can see a little key on one side, and then there's a groove on the other. So that goes in one way. We won't let you mess it up, so don't worry about it. Really quite simple. Match up the key and it clicks in place. Pretty straightforward. We're going to take out the 2 cables and the modem. Close the box up for good measure. The wind's kind of blowing out here today. And we're going to install this thing right outside here. Real simple, quick, and easy. We just happen to have a plug outside, so I'm going to push that plug in there. I'm going to pull a little bit of this cable off, so we have a little unwinding to do here. All right, we're just going to pull a little bit of this cable out so we can move it around. Install that cable, and then all we have to do is plug it into power, which I happen to have an outdoor plug right here. All right, and it is powered on. sort of move it out there so there's no obstructions. And let it power on and do its thing. And that's really about it. Now you need to move to your phone and the application, the Starlink application on your phone, and sync the wireless, connect to the wireless network. So we'll show you how to do that here in just a second. So you're going to see it moved from its one position to a position that's sort of flat facing parallel or to the horizon, and it's setting itself up, trying to find satellites and orient itself. And it'll take just a little while to go through this sequence. So I will leave you here with it for just a moment, so that you can watch it go through its process. Okay, it looks like it sort of oriented itself here. So let's check and see if there's any Wi-Fi. It does take several minutes for this to get oriented. I think we're about 7 minutes or so into this video. May not be that long. I may speed some stuff up for you, so it may not be quite 7 minutes for you, but I think about 7 to 10 minutes for this to orient itself. Okay, we are going to go into the Starlink app. I'm not connected to the Wi-Fi. I'm not connected to anything other than the brand new Starlink, and I am going to go into connect to the Starlink Wi-Fi. What might be a little bit strange here when you go into Wi-Fi is the network. You typically see Starlink. However, here recently they've been calling them STINKY. So we're going to go into STINKY and see if that will help set up our Starlink network here. And there we go. Now it's asking for a new Wi-Fi name and password. So I'm going to set up a new Wi-Fi name. I'm going to call it Only Have One Life to Live dash RESIDENTIAL, residential. I'm gonna So now I'm looking for that SSID that I just created. So I should see Only Have One Life to Live dash residential here somewhere. There it goes. It pops up there. So there's a residential. And I'm going to connect to that network using my super secret password. And I'm going to join that network. Now then, I've got two different Starlink networks. I've got the Only Have One Life to Live Starlink, which is the RV version. I've got my PepWave wireless, which is Only Have One Life to Live _legacy _RV. That's my Riverstone Legacy RV Wi-Fi. I connect everything to my Legacy RV Wi-Fi. And then I connect via Wi-Fi from my Starlink to my PepWave, which is serving the Legacy RV Wi-Fi. So it's pretty straightforward. I'll show you a little diagram so that it's not too confusing here in just a little bit on my setup. So I'm connected to the Only Have One Life to Live residential. So now I'm going to go back to Starlink, and it'll show that I'm online with the Only Have One Life to Live residential. Now then, I've only got one device connected, and that is this iPhone. And I am going to run a speed test just to see what sort of speed I get initially. Okay, this is not uncommon to see the speed test is temporarily unavailable. Please try again later. I usually just hit it again and it'll go. Wow. Already a considerable difference in the download. The upload speed is about consistent with the RV version, which I'll show you in just a moment. But the download speed is 2 to 3 times the speed of, we're going to run that again. I'm going to run an advanced speed test. This is going to run the Starlink speed and then your Wi-Fi speed. So your iPhone to your router is the Wi-Fi speed, and then the Starlink to the internet, and you'll see that that's 97 megabits from the Starlink to the satellite to the internet. That's 97 megabits down and 12 megabits up. And you can see, as you would expect, the Wi-Fi is going to be much faster than that. Up and down. So not surprising that the Wi-Fi speed from my iPhone to the Wi-Fi router is considerably faster than the Wi-Fi that you would expect, or the internet access that you would expect from Starlink. So considerable difference in speed there. Alright, let's go back just for kicks and grins. I'm going to run that again just to have fun. Speed test. This is on the residential version. It's about 3 p.m. in the afternoon, I think. 2:57 p.m. Central Time. And I've got 88 megabits up download and 17 megabits upload with a 63 milliseconds latency. I'll explain all this technical stuff to you here in just a minute. Now I'm going to go back and connect to the other Wi-Fi real quick. I'm going to sign out of here. I'm going to close that app. I'm going to now connect to the Only Have One Life to Live Starlink. I'm not going to connect to my internal Wi-Fi. I'm going to connect to the Wi-Fi of my RV-based Starlink. Put in my super secret passcode. Join that network. Okay, now I'm on the RV-based Starlink. I wish I would have renamed those. I may try and do that here in just a minute. Rechange that Wi-Fi. So now I'm going to go into the Starlink app. And I'm connected now to the RV Starlink, as you can see here. There are 5 devices connected to this. There's my iPhone, and there's my PepWave, and then there's an Intel device, a TV, and another PepWave. I've got a few PepWaves here. So none of them are on right now utilizing the network, so I'm going to try the same speed test. Again, not uncommon to see this the first time. Try it again. The RV speed download test is peaking around 20 megs. And the upload speed looks like to be peaking around almost 9 megabits per second, 8.4 megabits per second. I'm going to run an advanced test here as well. Exact same phone, exact same setup. Start the advanced test. Again, the only difference here is I'm connected to the RV version, exact same phone. I'm the same distance away from both of these devices. It's 3:01 p.m. Central Standard Time. This test was running, so as you can tell, we're going to run that again. I'm going to literally walk right beside the router. My phone is literally within 8 inches of the Starlink RV router, which is also serving the Wi-Fi for the Starlink RV router. So 95 megabits per second. That's your download speed, and your upload speed looks to be almost 10. Of course, the Wi-Fi there is even faster. It had a little glitch, looks like, to begin with, but it caught up pretty fast. Well over 400 megabits per second download, and well over 400 upload. Again, that's the speed from the Wi-Fi device. In this case, it's my iPhone 12 Pro Max to the Wi-Fi router. Starlink speed is the speed from the Starlink modem to the satellite and then to the internet. Okay, we're going to disconnect. We're going to go right by the residential, and we're going to run this test again right by the residential. So here we go. We're going to disconnect, close that out, disconnect from Wi-Fi. From that Wi-Fi, SSID anyways. Again, this is my original RV Starlink. I'm going to disconnect from that. Actually, I'm just going to press this one, and I'm going to connect to the residential one. That'll disconnect from the Starlink, and I'm going to walk out here literally to the router that's outside now. I'm literally within 6 inches of it, and we are going to rerun this test again. Okay, Starlink. We're going to run the speed test. Again, literally 6 inches. Again, just ignore it. Hit try again. It usually goes on past the test here. We're going to run the advanced test one more time. So 230 megabits upload, I'm sorry, 230 megabits, 237 megabits download speed from Starlink to the internet, 19 megabits upload speed from Starlink to the internet, and then Wi-Fi speed, as you would expect, is very fast at almost a half a gig per second. So 449 megabits per second download, and looks like to be around 420 or 30 megabits upload. 440 megabits upload. So there's the results. Now let's get an independent look at this. It's great that Starlink thinks they're so great, and everything's perfect when you're in a lab environment. So let's go outside of a lab environment and let's run another speed test. I'm going to pull my old friend speed test up by these guys, and it recognizes SpaceX Starlink, and this is on iPhone 11 Pro Max, not a 12. Let's hit the go button. All right, this is connected to our residential version. Again, around 3:05 Sunday, I think it's November the 6th. Okay, that's what it thinks. 183 megabits download, 13.9 megabits upload. And you can see that the ping, which is a packet that's sent from the phone to the internet and returned a response in 54 milliseconds. The blink of an eye, by the way, is about 250 milliseconds. About a quarter of a second is the blink of your eye. 193 down, 89 up was the fastest during the test. And then the jitter is 14 milliseconds. Jitter is the time that the packets arrive in order. So if packet 14 arrived before packet 12, jitter is that time between packet 14 and packet 12 arriving. I'll simplify jitter for you just a little bit. It really only impacts voice and video for the most part. So real-time traffic is really where jitter matters. Okay, let's go and let's run the same test one more time just for kicks and grins. We're going to see not just what happens one time, but what happens consistently a couple of times. Okay, 144 meg down, 12 meg up, 66 millisecond ping time, jitter 13 milliseconds. Let's try that one more time just for kicks and grins. Go. Okay, so you can see that your response varies here a little bit depending on how much traffic is heading up and to the satellites and down from the satellites. It all depends on timing of the requests you send, and the amount of traffic that the satellite's serving at any one time.
Dogs are watching themselves.
Okay, let's run the same test, however, connected to the RV version of this. So I'm going to disconnect here, my Wi-Fi, and I'm going to connect to the Starlink, which is my RV version of Starlink. And we are going to run the same test again. So let's connect Starlink real quick. We are online with Starlink. Let's run the speed test.
One thing to keep in mind as we're looking at these speeds, there might be some times where you see the RV is as fast as the residential version of Starlink. And that's totally plausible scenario that may occur because the quality of service or the rate limiting that occurs and or maybe the deprioritization of traffic only occurs when there's congestion on the network. So if Starlink's algorithm and policing policy doesn't sense that there is congestion on the network, it might allow bursts of the RV service to go all the way up to the same as a residential service. So therefore, you might get the exact same service from the RV version as the residential service, and you may not get any deprioritization of traffic if the network is not congested. However, I've experienced in the last couple of maybe 6 months or so, we've experienced times when there is significant congestion on the network, and you will see a definite deprioritization of traffic of the RV version of the satellite service. So the least we've seen is about 3 or 4 megabits a second as we were deprioritized, and that was for a very short period of time, but mostly below 20 megabits per second download and 10 megabits per second upload. We've not seen anything sort of below that area, but just keep in mind that deprioritization of traffic occurs when there's congestion on the network, and that's when you're going to see the deprioritization most of the time. So if you're in an area that's fairly remote, then you may never see any deprioritization of your traffic. So you got to take that into consideration with the service that you want to buy. And remember, those options are buying the RV version or buying the residential version. They both cost exactly the same thing, other than the RV version allows portability all the time and is $135 a month, where the residential version does not allow you to move it around unless you add the portability feature. Now, the residential satellite service is $110 a month from Starlink for the residential version. You can add portability to that device if you need to move it around for $25 a month, and that'll allow you to move that home base or that residential version of Starlink around anywhere you need it to. However, you may experience deprioritized traffic during that period of time.
Now this is the RV version, so as you can tell, there's not a lot of difference, not a considerable amount of difference between residential and the RV version, at least around 3 o'clock Central Time in the afternoon.
Okay guys, so here's a way to order Starlink even if you're waiting for service in your area. I was reading on the website and I found what I think is a loophole in the Starlink ordering process. And basically, what it says is that you can change your service location up until the order actually ships from Starlink. That's about 3 business days. I wouldn't wait that long to do this trick. And sure enough, I did this for my location in Dallas. So in Dallas, we are waiting on service to be delivered. So if you look at the check availability, I'm just going to type in Dallas, Texas. And I'm going to hit check availability. When you check availability in Dallas, Texas, you're going to see that they're expanding here in 2023. Dallas, Texas, right here, they're expanding there in 2023. But as you can see, just over here, there's availability. So, what do? Remember, you can have your Starlink shipped to any location that you want. And so what I did is I went and found a plus code that's available in this light blue area over in Abilene, for example, where service is available. And here's what you do. So I went to pluscodes.com. I looked on the map. Here, and I found Abilene. And I dropped a pin here. This is pluscodes.com. And when I dropped this pin, it gave me this plus code over here, which I'm just going to copy out. And I'm going to, again, I matched this map up to the availability map over here. And look, Abilene, right in this area, there is availability here. So I grabbed a place that was as close as I could to Dallas, just so that I didn't have major problems, hoping that I could get on this constellation, this satellites over here that were serving Abilene. So Dallas, Abilene, this was one of the closest spots. So I went and got the plus code, and I went to the Starlink site, and I dropped in the plus code. And then I did a search. And now I've got an Order Now link. Order Now allows me now to place my order for Abilene, Texas. That will be my service location. It is not my physical address of where I'm going to have this shipped to. So now you can put in your contact information, your phone number, your emails, and you can place the shipping address to whatever valid shipping address you need in the United States, and ship it there, and you can get your service for $110 a month. Hardware is $5.99, shipping and handling is $50. It'll calculate the tax for you, and then you can place your order. So this is a way to get around the fact that you cannot place an order for Dallas, Texas. So I'm just going to throw in an address in Dallas, Texas here. I'm just going to pick a random one. Dallas, Texas. There we go. That's a random one. And look, 7815 McCallum Boulevard in Dallas, Texas. If you press the Order Now button, you're going to be on the waiting list. So here you go. It's not available there. You can reserve your Starlink, but you can't order it. So the trick is put that plus code in that we found over here in an area by comparing the maps, the Starlink availability map and just a Google map, or in this case I use pluscodes.com. Now, of course, I wouldn't try to do this in an area where there is no service at all. So if it says coming soon in the area, that's not a place where you should try this. This worked for me for my scenario in Dallas when I ordered in Abilene. Of course, you do have to go back to the service location. Once you're complete, go back into your Starlink account and change your service location to the appropriate place. before it ships to your residence. Okay, so that is very important. Before it ships from Starlink to your home, go into your Starlink account and change the service location back to the appropriate place. So in this case, I changed it back to my real address in Dallas, Texas, and I was able to get the equipment shipped to my home address, have service at my home address, even though there was no availability, or there was a waiting list. Not that there was no availability, that there was a waiting list to be able to order service because they had already reached capacity. That's the key to making this work. All right, guys, I hope this has helped you. I hope you guys enjoy the video. Please like and subscribe, and remember, you only have one life to live.